Welcome to the first section of 7 Essential Skills to Build Your Career. The course is comprised of 7 essential skills you'll need to build your career. This is part of the first skill, stepping up to team leadership. This module is called Remote and Connected, Managing a Remote Work Team. Managing a remote work team is like in-person work, but it's different. Most organizations face challenges when implementing a work-at-home program, remote work, telework, or virtual teams, whatever you want to call them. It's unfortunate that many organizations let this perception stop them from reaping the many benefits of a flexible workplace. By improving communication, developing team ground rules, nurturing trust between managers and employees, learning to manage by results rather than by time, and providing appropriate technological advances such as software, equipment, and supplies, the whole team benefits. Keys to effective remote work teams. With remote workers, there are several items in the relationship that need to be clarified between the organization and the employee. One issue is exempt versus non-exempt. Exempt means they are exempt from the Fair Labor Standards Act and other state wage and hour laws, meaning they're paid the same amount regardless of the output or quality of their work. Wage and hour law does apply to non-exempt employees, therefore they need to be paid overtime and also ensure that several other points are considered in terms of their day-to-day management. Exempt employees have a certain amount of judgment and discretion in their work and are able to work in a self-directed, independent way. They are typically paid by salary. Non-exempt employees are those that are hourly employees and require ongoing oversight of their work. Typically, they do data entry or other routine tasks. So with non-exempt employees, it's important to log their time and record their time accurately. With exempt employees, it's not as important because they're paid for the job, not necessarily their hours of work. We'll talk more about this subject at the end of this module. An issue for everyone is ergonomics and also workers' compensation in the event that they were injured while performing work. So we want to make sure we take steps to ensure that the employee is working in a safe environment. There are several HR processes we need to look at in terms of managing remote workers. For example, interviewing. It may require a unique work style to be effective at remote work. So when interviewing, ask specific questions about self-direction, independence, and assess their ability to work remotely by asking about past experiences working alone. Some prospective employees may want to work remotely, while others that would not be attractive. So be clear about it in your job posting and ensure that the applicants you are attracting are interested in the position that you have available. With onboarding, managers need to review how they onboard remote employees. If this is not taken into account, managers may find themselves with employees who struggle in the remote work setting. Benefits and perks. Some managers may have groups of on-site employees and remote employees at the same time. It's easy to end up with one group receiving more attention than the other. For example, think about the benefits and perks the on-site employees get and try to find a way to extend those benefits to remote employees. If remote workers have flexible hours, find a way you can extend this benefit to on-site employees. Training. Ongoing remote training is especially important because you want to make sure that remote employees get the same opportunities as others. Special training could be conducted for employees to gain new skills around working remotely, being independent, setting goals, communicating, and managing up. All of these are areas that a remote employee could benefit from. Performance improvement. Some employees may have challenges working remotely without supervision. Typically, exempt employees are self-managing, but non-exempt employees may need more monitoring and feedback to ensure that they maintain a high level of productivity. Remote employees require a significant amount of support. This could be both emotional support as well as mentoring, training, and coaching. Trust is an important part of any supervisory relationship. A remote working relationship requires even greater attention to management standards of setting goals, timelines, quality standards, and ongoing feedback. But trust is built over time through effective communication. Perhaps you have already established a good working relationship and the employee has gone remote, or in other cases, a new employee relationship without the benefit of face-to-face interactions must be established, which all takes time. You'll probably need to over-communicate initially, but try to avoid being perceived as a micromanager. Your non-exempt staff will obviously need more interaction at first as well. Make sure that your remote workers are included in meetings whenever possible. Schedule important discussions in advance in order to give your remote workers an opportunity to attend in person or by phone, and make them feel as though they are an integral part of the day-to-day activities. Fostering effective trust and communication in a work-at-home situation may require some creativity. Consistent communication will help ensure a productive experience for all involved. Some employees may feel isolated and lonely, and some may struggle to manage their time. To provide emotional support, you will need to always be in communication with your employees and ask them if there is anything they need from you. Even when you deal with team members in the same location, some individuals may prefer to take the back row. If you're not careful in remote teams, such individuals will disappear altogether. Find a way to keep employees engaged in everything that they do. Keep an open conversation about the employee and the needs of support that they have. Ask them questions like, how could I better support you? What is your favorite part of remote work, and what is your least favorite? What is your daily routine like, and how can we best schedule meetings to meet those needs? These questions will make the employee feel engaged in the process and also supported by their management team. Deliberate actions in these areas will help develop and instill a sense of trust and credibility. These are all important aspects of the employee-supervisor relationship. There are a variety of activities managers can do to make sure that remote employees are connected and feel part of the team. This includes having regularly scheduled phone calls, making sure to include remote workers in meetings, and making use of technology available to manage projects and tasks. A good way to ensure proper communication with the team is to develop team ground rules specific to the remote working environment. One of the issues you might want to explore is working hours. By clearly setting expectations of what hours employees need to be available, you can circumvent a common point of confusion and ensure timely communication. The key is to develop a balance between being in touch and being pestered. Another issue is response time. It's a common area of miscommunication and concern that tends to cause problems when dealing with remote workers. Managers are often concerned with being able to get in touch with remote workers when needed. So set the mode of communication as well as a standard response time to ensure that everyone is on the same page. Scheduling is also an issue. One way to ensure that communication happens regularly is to block certain times of the day and inform employees that they can book short sessions with you during those blocks. You could then have a calendar so that remote workers know which blocks are taken. A concern also with remote workers is time zones. When setting up meeting times with remote employees working in different time zones, ensure that the burden of inconvenience does not fall on one member all the time. Rotate meeting times so that the inconvenience of having a meeting either too late or too early in the day does not fall on one employee. Video calls. To ensure that everyone is clear about how communication will happen within the remote team, consider creating a communication strategy. This will determine the number of meetings you will have with your team and other issues. Look at items such as limiting noises in the background, decorum about what team members can have on their backgrounds during video calls, whether they have to be on mute or on the video call themselves or just their picture. You also might want to cover points such as interruptions, so people don't interrupt each other and take turns speaking. Also, don't take up too much time on the floor talking at people. Stop to ask questions and engage your team in the conversation. Use the raise hand feature or the chat box to encourage people to provide input. Video calls are not that effective with over 10 people. Larger groups mean that people are hesitant to talk or raise questions. Polls can be helpful in keeping larger groups interactive. At least you can ask for an opinion, and afterwards you have facts to go by. For example, 72% of people feel this is an important issue. They can blur their background if their room is messy, but it is hard to know that the person is on the call if you cannot see them, and you rarely hear any commentary from them because they're on mute. Another point to consider is emails. Set the standards for how quickly you would expect an email to be received and responded to. Is it a 24-hour period, or is it more like 2 hours? Be clear with your employees about what these expectations are. You should encourage your employees to not overload other people with emails. For example, a reply all can send communication to people that aren't concerned with the topic. This just gives employees the extra task of filtering through emails that they should not have received in the first place. Establishing these team ground rules will help everyone work better together. When it comes to technology, you want to make sure that your team members are equipped with supplies, equipment, and the right software to facilitate communication and collaboration. There are a variety of web-based groupware or virtual office software solutions available to help teams manage group schedules and shared calendars. There are also software programs that manage workflows, standard operating procedures, and project management tools. When it comes to equipment, be clear about who will provide the remote team with the tools they need. If you ask the team members to supply their own equipment, you'll need to determine how it will be paid for, how technical support will be provided, and what features it should have. Also, you'll have to determine who should pay for supplies like paper and toner. If this is not clarified, you may risk the security of the communication and data that your employees have access to. Also, you have to be certain that all of the data security elements are in place to ensure that you don't lose any data, and that company and customer information is protected. Software programs like Slack, Lattice, Basecamp, and other workflow tools can help because they allow conversations to happen within projects rather than through emails. Anyone who has access to the tool can follow conversations there, reducing the time taken to find information and ask questions that have already been answered. Finally, you need to ensure that employees have access to technical support to answer any questions about the software or hardware issues they may have. Finally, you want to make sure that you're managing the workload to get work done through other people, which is more difficult when they're working remotely. Workflow software can help because it allows the team to clearly define goals and update them regularly and manage the processes. It's important that you work with your staff to set OKRs or KPIs, which are objectives and key results or key performance indicators. This helps clarify priorities, goals, and ensures that employees are accountable. SOPs, or standard operating procedures, can help to document the procedures and ensure that all employees know where to find these documents, and then they can follow the guidelines step by step. One key issue is outputs. In an on-site working environment, everyone is working side by side on similar projects, and work is usually measured in the hours of work, not by output. However, with remote workers, you will have to switch gears and focus on what is delivered instead of the actual hours worked. So clarifying goals and timelines is important for accountability. Create milestones that have precise deadlines. Rather than wait until the deadline, check in on the employee's progress, connect with the employee well in advance, and be sure that their goals are achievable. When employees are working on site, it is easier to judge workload. This is not the case with remote employees. One idea is to team up employees in pairs or in threes. This way, employees can collaborate with each other if you set up smaller groups of teams and have the employees monitor themselves. You still need to check in and establish team norms and output, but this will help employees feel more connected. To summarize the information in this module, Managing Remote Teams, you want to make sure you are ironing out the HR issues. Provide emotional and logistical support for employees. Set communication ground rules and ensure that the employee has supplies, equipment, software, and technical support available. Finally, manage the employee's workload by monitoring outputs, not hours. Thank you for listening. This has been a presentation of Eye-to-Eye Workplace. This module was Managing a Remote Team. Congratulations! You've just completed one of more than 30 modules from Eye-to-Eye Workplace. These modules are provided on YouTube for your benefit to preview the extensive training content of our management training modules. After 4 modules, you can take a multiple-choice online 10-question test based on the content of 4 of the videos on YouTube. There are tests available for team leadership, interviewing and hiring, talent management, performance management, communication, efficiency, and customer service. You'll earn a certificate of completion. For only $9.99, you can document your management success. Go to itoiworkplace.com/store, pay $9.99 for each module, and you'll get a link to the certification test. For more high-impact, low-cost training, follow I Workplace on LinkedIn and YouTube. Or visit our website at www.itoiworkplace.com. Thank you.